Hey guys, Kyle Kulinski is letting us post some of the clips from his channel that we think you guys will really love in the Breaking Points community on our channel.
Yep, let's get to it.
So this story, this video blew up the other day. Now there's a bunch of different things about this that we've learned since this promo came out, so we'll talk about those in just a second. This is posted by the New York Post here. They say Trump walks out of explosive Piers Morgan interview after being pressed on 2020 election. So this is Piers Morgan's new show, and let me show you some of this here, and then we'll react to it.
Okay, Piers, I'm ready.
A former president in denial.
I'll be completely straight with you to your face.
I think I'm a very honest man, much more honest than you, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
It was a free and fair election. You lost.
Only a fool would think
You
that.
think I'm a fool?
I do now, yeah.
With respect.
Excuse me.
Okay, with respect,
The
you haven't
legislature-
produced the hard evidence.
Excuse me.
The most explosive interview of the
I
year.
don't think you're real. It's,
I realize
just
I'm not like-
very
I
dishonest.
just-
Let's finish up the interview.
Morgan versus
Turn the
Trump.
camera up. Very dishonest.
All right, so look, that promo absolutely makes it look like Trump. By the way, he's sweating profusely in that interview, but they make it look like Trump walks out of the interview, like storms out almost mid-interview, or, you know, whatever, when he's had enough. He's, all right, turn the camera off, and he walks out. That's actually not true. It's actually not true. So there's some audio that came out of the, you know, a longer version of the audio that came out. By the way, I don't know when this interview is dropping. Did they just say it there? I didn't see it if they did. And he doesn't storm out. He doesn't walk out. I mean, it's obviously a very contentious interview, and they butt heads, but he doesn't storm out. Now, I would play that other audio for you, but honestly, the audio quality is so poor, and it's like so quiet that you can't even hear it that well, so I'm not going to waste your time playing that. But just understand, he didn't actually storm out. They sort of deceptively edited this to make it look like he walked out. Now, I mean, the first point is, I mean, I get why they would do that. They're trying to, like, you know, beef up their ratings and make it seem more spicy than it is. But on the other hand, it's like, you're launching this new show, Piers, and you want to start out the gates with a deceptively edited interview where you leave people the wrong impression compared to what actually happened. I mean, that's kind of dirty, and that's kind of low. And that's also, you know, now can't blame anybody in the audience if they don't trust you, you know? And he also, didn't Piers Morgan also storm out of some, like, morning show in Britain when they disagreed with him too much on something? I think it had to do with Meghan Markle. And, like, he stormed out. And so, if you're trying to portray Trump here as, like, a snowflake because he stormed out and couldn't take the tough questioning, then what were you when you stormed out? Like, wouldn't you be the exact same thing? So anyway, Piers is he's a weird guy. But in terms of the back and forth there, yeah, you got to give credit where credit is due. Really, almost nobody these days in a face-to-face interview with Trump presses him on the rigged election narrative. And, I mean, he is ripe for being pressed on that because he's so immensely wrong. And so I also want to give credit to Piers in a weird way because that's important that people try to pop that bubble. Now, I'm under no illusions that this is going to change anybody's mind who thinks the election was stolen. They're not going to change anybody's mind. But I think it's important for the record to really show and prove to any independent-minded, more objective viewer that, hey, this guy's full of shit on that point. I mean, how many times have we gone over it, guys? Remember the Arizona audit where the Trump people were convinced, oh, they stole Arizona, and when we do this audit, it's going to show that Trump actually won. Then they did the audit, and they found that not only did Biden win, he actually won by more votes than we thought he won by on Election Day. And so the audit completely backfired. And that's just one example. Of course, the other point that people make, and they're correct to point this out, is there were over 60 court cases, and Trump lost almost every single one of them. And a lot of the judges, too, were not just Republican judges, which they were. There were even some Trump-appointed judges who basically laughed these lawsuits out of the courtroom because they were totally bogus. So Trump has just swallowed whole, for ego protection reasons, all of, like, the Facebook memes about how I had to have won the election because look at this anomaly in this county and nobody ever won this county and then lost the entire election. He's got all these little points that are super misleading that he brings up to pretend like, well, obviously I won. And now he's at the point where he's calling everybody else dishonest if they disagree with that. And I mean, it's the classic projection move, right? He's calling somebody else dishonest as he is swimming in a sea of dishonesty on this issue. You know, it's projection 101. It's also what conservatives tend to do or, Republicans tend to do when they talk about how Democrats can't wait to cheat more and rig elections more at the same time that they're trying to do these gerrymandering moves that is them cheating and them trying to hold on to power. Or the voter ID laws, which in their more honest moments, some elected Republicans say, yeah, of course that's about trying to suppress the vote in poor communities and minority communities who more vote Democrat and try to keep their numbers down, and that helps us to potentially win. There's been some who admitted that. So as they try to rig it, they pretend like, oh, these Democrats are just trying to rig everything, or they did rig everything. And it's deeply dishonest. It's ironic he's calling Piers dishonest on that point. So look, I want to see the interview when it comes out. Like, I want to see the full interview. I want to see how aggressive Piers Morgan really is in questioning Trump. On that issue, obviously, he was aggressive. But my sense is there were many issues where he wasn't very aggressive, and he was, holding hands and singing Kumbaya, if anything, with Trump. And in fact, in that released audio of the longer exchange, where you see Trump didn't actually storm out of the interview, there were a couple questions that I heard where Piers was like, it was all patty cakes, and it was all like, Mr. President, is wokeness bad? Oh, yes, very, very bad, very bad. You got this male swimmer, swimming with the females, beating their records by 38 seconds, Piers. 38 seconds. Piers like, oh my goodness, how terrible. So, like, a lot of it is softballs down the center of the plate, but at least on this issue, he's being pressed. By the way, I told you guys this, but I think there was a poll that showed only 15% of the country still wants to talk about the 2020 election. So the overwhelming majority of Democrats, independents, and even Republicans are like, all right, move on. We got problems, we got issues we got to address. I don't want you crying and whining and bitching and moaning and sour grapes all day long because Biden's president. Like, enough, get over it. So even among people who think, hey, the election was fishy, a lot of them are like, what are you going to do? Like, it's a wrap, so now let's move on. And so this is Trump's Achilles heel. And I've made this point before, but I do think it's the one thing that could totally tank him in 2024, is that if he keeps leaning into this like he does now, which he can't stop doing, people don't like that shit, man. I mean, Jordan Peterson, we covered a story where Jordan Peterson was on a podcast, and he was calling Trump basically like a whiny little bitch. And he was like, yeah, I got it. Okay, so you think the election was rigged. And then what? Like, okay, talk about what's your platform going to be if you run again? Like, what are your ideas? What are your policies? I mean, when Jordan Peterson is throwing him under the bus as vociferously as he did, and he did it vociferously, well, then it's like, all right, man, come on. You're alienating even a lot of your own allies here. So this could be his Achilles heel. It's the one thing where he's going to, like, doom himself. And I guess we'll see. We'll see as it unfolds. All indications now are that he's definitely going to run again in 2024. Biden wants to run in 2024. And so we could have a rematch of the hellish election that we previously had, where we're all in the movie Groundhog Day and we're miserable and tired.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.